Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Spider-Verse Retrospectives, and today we're going to be continuing our discussion on the end of the Spider-Verse storyline as we take a look at Spider-Man Volume 4, Number 3. So, last time on End of the Spider-Verse. So, with Shatra setting her sights on Earth 616 and the Spideys that call that world home, Julia Carpenter, aka Madam Web, Anya Cortizone, aka Aranya, and Zarina, aka Spider UK, decided to give some backup to the Spideys of that world, in the form of Morlun, who it turns out is on the Spidey side because, turns out consuming all those spider totems back in previous Spider-Verse events essentially made him and all the other inheritors, spider totems in their own way. As such, with the added help of both Morlun and with the added aid of Morlun and then later Aranya, the remaining Spideys of Earth 616, specifically Peter Parker, Cindy Moon, and Miles Morales, were saved and brought back to the Spider Sanctuary that the new Spider Army has been calling home, a world known as Earth 616 Beta, essentially the main Marvel universe back in its early days when it was still kind of being formed, so to speak. So it's just kind of like an old time. So it's kind of like one of the comics from out of the 60s. As such, upon arriving, Peter's suit is of course repaired from his battle with Morlun, thanks to Cindy Moon, and he learns that the team of Spideys he'll be leaving includes not just the 3 Spider Women that I brought up earlier, but also 5 other Spideys, specifically the Hunter Spider, Night Spider, Sun Spider, the Web Weaver, and the Spinstress, which is not a large number of Spideys, and some of these people aren't exactly the best soldiers that one would think of, but ultimately, they're the only ones left because it turns out that, a good chunk of Spideys in the multiverse have already been, converted to Shathra's cause. And likewise, when Peter asks why Morlun is helping out with this since he's an inheritor, he reveals that not only is he a viable target for Shathra because he's technically a spider totem as well, but Shathra also killed his family, as after she converted the Spider-Man into a wasp totem, she had her eat the children. Look in my last video to see how I felt about that, and trust me, it wasn't positive. Point is, Morlun wants vengeance, and so the enemy of his enemy is essentially his friend, and thus he's thrown his lot in with the Spideys. However, as everyone's arguing the best course of action to try and take the fight to Shatra, things kind of come to a head because, the Spideys of Earth 616 were each stung by one of Shathra's wasps, which, under normal circumstances, would have converted them into wasp totems too, but it turns out the Spideys of Earth 616 have an innate immunity to that. All except Miles, because technically he's from the Ultimate Universe. And sure enough, the comic ends as we see him being converted into a wasp totem and stating that Shathra can now see through his eyes, which is where today's issue begins, as the transformation now fully takes hold and he fully becomes a wasp totem. As such, because Shathra is connected to all of the wasp-converted Spideys in the multiverse, immediately the team of Spideys just pounces on Miles, because if he's a wasp totem, then that means Shathra will be able to see through his eyes and will be able to figure out where they've been hiding. So they intend to kind of put him down, so to speak. And that's not colorful wording. A couple of the people there think that they need to kill Miles, specifically Morlun and the Hunter Spider. But hey, at the very least, it's a majority vote. As such, after some people wonder how this is even possible, since Miles is technically from Earth 616, again, Madam Web reiterates about how Miles's continuity was integrated into the main Marvel universe. So whatever. But however, as the team of Spideys pile on Miles, he's able to blast them off with a good Venom Blast, but he doesn't attack them. Why? Because it turns out that him being integrated into Earth 616 still does give him some immunity. He's still a wasp. He still has been converted into a wasp totem and has his whole general motif transformed into that of a wasp, with the spider on his chest now being a wasp, which I dig. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Still don't like the costume, but whatever. Ultimately, his mind is still intact. He is not under Shathra's thrall. It's still Miles in the driver's seat, and he's still in full control, though even he admits that he has no idea how long he can hold Shathra's will off before he's fully converted into one of her into one of her, into one of her nestlings, so to speak. So even Miles realizes that he cannot stay here in the Spider Sanctuary. As such, he does ask them to open a portal for him, and the question is raised: where will he go? And Miles says he'll go straight to Shatra's backyard on Loom World. With essentially that would meaning that which would allow him to not only gather good intel, but be able to keep Shatra off their back. Because if she does manage to exert control over Miles, well, all she'll be seeing is more of this. All she'll be seeing is more of her base. And on top of that, though, Miles is actually not going alone. When Kraven the Hunter Spider learns that Miles is going straight to Loom World, well, he can't pass up an opportunity to go along with him because hey, they're taking the hunt straight into the lion's den, so to speak, and that just sounds exciting to him. So he offers to be Miles's backup. And so the pair of Spideys go through a portal and head straight to Loom World, essentially causing the team to go down by 2 Spideys, which even Madam Web laments. Either way, though, even with this dwindling of their numbers, Madam Web decides that she does still need to give the remaining Spideys the 411 on what their plan is, as she explains that because Shatra has set up her base on Loom World, it's given her unfettered access to the Web of Life and Destiny, access which she has used to little by little convert it into her great nest, and essentially rewriting the very fabric of the multiverse at its core. Thankfully, though, Madam Web mentions that she does have a plan in place, and that if executed correctly, it should restore the Great Nest back to the Great Web, as well as restore all of the Spideys that have been converted into Wasp totems. However, before Madam Web can even explain what this plan is, Peter asks one question: will this plan bring Jessica Drew back? And Madam Web says that it won't. So Peter says he's not doing it. Basically, what he wants to do is he wants to find a means of bringing Jess back and restoring her to her proper place. And ultimately, if Madam Web's plan is not going to help with that, well, he's not going to go for it. As such, Madam Web tries arguing that they need to go with her plan, but Peter says that he wants to find a means of restoring those who have been lost by the dagger. And Aranya mentions that there is a way to do it. It's just that it might be a bit impossible. But a bit impossible is all Peter needs, and so he asks for the details on that. As such, Aranya admits that somewhere in Central America on Earth 616, which are actually in that world's version of Delvadia, there is an ancient pyramid dedicated to Shatra's sister Neth, as she was the one who wove the original Web of Life and Destiny, and as well as creating the spiders that kept it in line. And as such, located at the center of this temple, got it right, is the last remaining spider the Neth created herself. An artifact that, if used properly, should be able to reweave strands of the web that were cut off, i.e., restore lost Spideys. As such, Peter wants to immediately go straight to that temple and get it, though even Aranya admits that it's full of dangerous traps and doodads. So, well, that means that if they want to go in and steal this artifact, they're gonna need a master thief. And wouldn't you know it, one of the Spideys on their team is that very kind of person. Which Night Spider rubs in Peter's face, because earlier he was kind of flicking his nose at her because she didn't go with the whole great power, great responsibility shtick, and now here he is needing her help. As such, Peter, Aranya, and Night Spider open a portal to Earth 616 with the intent of going straight to that temple, though even Madam Web and Spider UK object to bringing Aranya with, since, she's one of the central 3 for their group, but Peter still insists that Aranya come with, and that they'll be back before they know it, it'll be fine, and so they once again leave, which of course just makes Madam Web even more annoyed, because people are just going off and doing whatever they want without even hearing her plan, with her even commenting that it looks like their team has been practically cut in half. And, well, that kind of gets the synapses working in Moreland's head, as when he hears cut in half, he thinks he may have a plan to take Shatra down immediately, and that plan is the dagger. After all, the dagger has the power to sever any spider totems from the Web of Life and Destiny, and so he believes that if he can get that dagger and then stab Shatra with it, it will essentially end the threat immediately. She'll be cut off from the web. All the Spideys will be restored. The Spider-Verse will be returned to normal. Blah, blah, blah. Point is, he thinks that plan will work perfectly, and so he takes his dimensional watch and jumps back to Earth 616, regardless of what anyone has to say. As such, the remaining Spideys, minus Madam Web and Spidey UK, realize that if Morland's plan is actually successful, then he might need some backup. And so Sun Spider, Web Weaver, Silk, and I forgot who the fourth one was, Spinstress, end up jumping straight through the portal, leaving Madam Web and Spidey UK behind, with both of them kind of realizing this is going bad very fast, because again, no one listened to the plan yet. But either way, yeah, we now have 2 teams of Spideys, technically 3, but we don't see the third one in this issue, all going about doing their own thing. On one side of things, we've got Spider-Man, we've got the main universe Spider-Man, Night Spider, and Aranya going to Central America in 616 to gather an ancient artifact to, restore lost Spideys. While on the other side, we have Morlun, Spinstress, Sun Spider, Web Weaver. Again, sorry, I'm losing track. Hold on one second. Sorry, I had to remember. Again, the other team is Morlun, Silk, Sun Spider, Spinstress, and Web Weaver. Okay, got it. And as they try and go and get the dagger. And if you remember well, the last person that had that dagger was Spider-Man Noir. So, yeah, we end up cutting back to we cut back to that team of corrupted Spideys as they're still standing around Earth 616 since, in the last issue, Aranya cast a spell that cut off any portals from opening there. So they're just kind of sitting around waiting for someone to come pick them up, which is actually kind of funny because despite the fact that all of them have been converted into wasp totems, each of them still retains some fragments of their original personalities. Case in point, Hobie Brown is getting bored, and to try and ease his boredom, he's banging his head into a brick wall over and over, which Gwen thinks that that's going to be a waste of time, it's not going to do anything, but ultimately, they can't stop him. Plus, it seems like their waiting has finally paid off because a portal opens right in front of them, so they'll be able to leave, right? Well, not really, because from that portal comes Morlun as he makes a dive straight at Spider-Man Noir, which funny little thing, I love that when he goes after Spider-Man Noir, he does seem to recognize his scent, so to speak, since, Morlun was the guy who killed him in Spider-Geddon. So, Morlun has no idea that this is the exact same this is the exact same version that he killed before, just brought back, so I don't know, I find that weird. But ultimately, the other Spideys come back through the portal, and, while they want to help Morlun get the dagger away from Spider-Man Noir, they also need to stop Morlun from actually killing any of the wasp-infected Spideys, since, they're still their friends at the end of the day, and they don't want to have them be hurt. Unfortunately, though, as the team of Spideys follow through Morlun, well, you gotta remember that Shatra also sent through some of her wasps to Earth 616, and only the Spideys of Earth 616 are immune to those wasp stings. Yeah, another Spidey ends up joining the fold, so to speak, as one of Shatra's wasps ends up stinging the Spinstress. So, yeah, that she ends up under Shatra's thrall. And unfortunately, by virtue of the Spinstress now working for Shatra, Shatra now has access to the entirety of the web of the Spinstress's knowledge, including 1, where the Spider Sanctuary is, and 2, what the Spideys are planning, both on Morlan's side and on Peter's side. As such, with this knowledge in mind, she decides to do her own counterplan to this, as she immediately addresses her entire hive, which of course is all the infected Spideys in the multiverse, and tells them that she's going to send them out as her swarm in order to deal with this problem and end the threat to her reign once and for all. So, yeah, things are quickly going wrong, which even Madam Web realizes as she sees Shatra enacting her plan, and, well, she quickly tells Spidey UK that everything's kind of fucked, and they have no way of countering this, meaning they kind of need to leave, probably might need to leave Earth 616 Beta. However, before they even get the chance, Serena mentions that there's still something on this world that they didn't tell any of the other Spideys about, something that they might need to tend to. But before she can say what that thing is, Madam Web tells her to shut it. Because if Shatra can see where they are now, then that means she's everywhere. That she can, if she's connected to this world, since she has access to the web of life and destiny. So if they say anything or play their hand in the wrong way, then Shathra will know what they have up their sleeve, and quite frankly, it's probably been their best interest to not let her know. So yeah, that's another little secret in hand. In the meantime, back with Peter, Anya, and Felicia, they managed to make their way to Net's temple in Central America, and yeah, it's essentially just they immediately deal with all the typical booby traps you would expect in an ancient place like that. As thanks to Night Spider, they're able to trigger some of them, and thankfully thanks to the trio's spider powers, they are able to evade some of the traps, though not all of them, which also leads to kind of a funny thing where they list all of the various traps that they encounter, including a giant boulder, a pit of alligators, that nobody knows how that could have been there at all, since, you know, this is an abandoned temple. And ultimately, before the three of them are almost crushed in a hallway with spikes on top, before Peter reminds them, hey, don't we all have super strength? And they all just bust out. It's kind of funny. But ultimately, yeah, they do manage to get to the heart of the temple, and they do find the last totem that Neth created, a golden spider that stands on a pedestal. And to make sure that they don't trigger any traps, as Felicia grabs it, she also creates a web ball to try and, you know, counter the wave, much like what Indiana Jones did, except this one actually works. So, you know, they got what they wanted. It's all good, right? Right? Yeah, it's at this point in time when the spinstress was brought into Shathra's fold, so to speak, and well, I did say that she sent all of her swarm to Earth 616, and yeah, the portals immediately open around Spidey, Aranya, and Night Spider, and from it comes all of their wasp-infected counterparts, and I do mean all of them, as they swarm the trio of Spideys, and yeah, it's very much a one-sided fight. The three of them are very much outclassed, and it's taking everything they have just to hold them all back. In the meantime, back with Morlun and his team of Spideys, they do at least manage to overpower Spider-Man Noir, but with Spinstress now on Shathra's side and converted into a wasp totem as well, she begins doing a villain song and opens a portal so that the rest of the Spideys, sans Noir, can get out of there, by which I mean the wasp-infected Spideys. But either way, Morlun thinks that doesn't matter. Yeah, they're getting away, but they got what they wanted. They have Spider-Man Noir right here. They can just get the dagger and be done with it, right? Again, not so easy. As once Morlun pulls back Spider-Man Noir's coat, he finds the sheath where the dagger was nesting, but no dagger. It's gone. And so he's wondering where the hell it could be. Well, let's cut back to Peter and co. as they're continuing to duke it out with the swarm of wasp-converted Spideys. And ultimately, unfortunately, in the midst of the battle, the artifact that they came to this temple to get, it gets smashed by Spider-Punk. And as a result, yeah, the journey was for nothing. They went through all this shit, braved all those traps, and this last hope that could restore all the other Spideys of the multiverse has been smashed. So, yeah, things are looking very much grim. But Peter tries to keep morale up. He keeps trying to tell everyone, it's okay, everybody, it's fine. We'll find a way out. We have to be. Remember, I'm the chosen one. As long as I'm here, there's always going to be a way to save the day. To which Spider-Gwen appears, and we see where the dagger went. She took it. And with Peter's exclamation, she now knows what her target for it is. As on the last page of the comic, she stabs Spider-Man with it. And the comic ends as Peter stands there shocked, not even mustering the strength to try and pull the dagger out. As, like Jessica, he begins unweaving. He feels his life slipping away, and he begins wondering, what's going on? What's happening? It's like I've never was bitten. What about all those people I saved? What's going to happen to them? And unfortunately, Peter doesn't get an answer, as the comic ends with him being reduced to nothing but a pile of webs and a single dagger. So everything went to hell. Okay, in terms of quality, I like this. I do like it. Like I said, like I said, the last issue definitely kind of helped kind of exposit what the situation was right now. And from the get-go, we were told that the whole situation with Shathra was a lot more gloomier than we were led to believe, as the team of Spideys we were introduced to was meant to be kind of like the last stand kind of Spideys, the last remaining Spideys in the multiverse that Shathra has not converted yet, and they're trying to fight the fight as best they can, and even then, they're not doing a good job of it, considering how much of a leg up Shathra has on them. Well, this issue is where things go wrong from square one. From the beginning of the issue, we have Miles converted into a wasp totem. Thankfully, because he's technically of Earth 616, it allows him to resist having his mind become part of Shathra's fold, but ultimately even he realizes he's a liability, so he has to abandon the team, with the Hunter Spider going with him because since Miles is going to Loom World, which is the heart of the enemy stronghold, he thinks, oh, this will be a great opportunity for a great hunt, so he goes with. Immediately they're down 2 more members. Then Spidey immediately kind of goes on his own, as he doesn't even listen to Madam Web's plan, as he says, we gotta get that artifact to restore Spidey's, which, you do kind of agree with him, because, well, the thing is, while Jessica being unwoven like that did set the standard for anyone can be taken, at the same time, Jessica Drew is the original Spider-Woman, and while the title of Spider-Woman has been tossed around, she's back in the role now, and she's had it for a few years now. So the idea of her just suddenly being erased completely, that eventually they're going to try and find a way to bring her back. And of course, you kind of think that what Peter's going to do will be successful. It's going to work out, right? No. While they go through the steps of an adventure of trying to get that little art, getting that golden spider, unfortunately, by virtue of Shathra learning of the plan by having the spinstress get infected, she immediately realizes, oh, you're trying to get this thing to restore your lost allies? Well, we gotta take care of that now, shall we? And like I said, because the number of spider people on her side vastly outnumbers the number of spider people that we have on Peter's side, it's a one-sided fight, as she just sends what is essentially an army right to Peter and co, and they don't stand a chance. They are outclassed. They cannot outlast them, and as a result, the artifact they came here to get gets destroyed. Their one hope of restoring any lost Spideys just gone in a flash, and that's just terrifying. Made even worse by the fact that when Moreland and co made even worse by the fact that, as I mentioned, the spinstress is converted to Shathra's cause, and with her becoming a wasp totem and being under Shathra's thrall, it gives Shathra complete access to all of her knowledge, all of her memories, meaning that she knows where the spider sanctuary is, and she knows how to best neuter the Spideys, which is why she targeted Peter like she did, since he's supposed to be the chosen one, so to speak. So again, things just continue going wrong, made even worse by the fact that the very reason why that team of Spideys took the risk they did was to get the dagger to use on Shathra, but that's been taken away too. So they are, for all intents and purposes, kind of fucked here. They have lost everything. Every advantage they could have had has been wiped away. Every little thing they could have done to take Shathra down has been closed off. They cannot do. Basically before we knew the odds were stacked against them, but now it looks like there is no way they can stop Shathra. Made even worse by the fact that, as we established last issue, anyone can go. And this comic showcases that by having one of the Spideys that bites the dust be Peter Parker, the main universe Spider-Man, the original, now reduced to nothing but a pile of webs, completely erased from history, or at least Spider-Man was. I'll get to that when we get to the next issue. My point is this immediately creates a tone as it makes you wonder, what the hell are they going to do now? Everything the deck has been stacked so much against them that it looks like it might be even impossible to defeat Shathra. Shatra. Peter was their ace in the hole, and now he's been taken off the board. The thing that they could have used to restore him and other lost Spideys has been taken away. It looks to me like it basically just makes it look like that everything is just going wrong, and there is absolutely no way to fix it. And that just creates a sense of dread because and ironically and ultimately tension, because it makes you want to know what they can do now. How are they going to overcome these odds? How are they going to beat Shatra? How are they going to restore Spidey? We have no idea, and we want to keep reading because we don't want the bad guy to win here. We want the heroes to come out victorious. We want to see them kicking ass and saving the day like always. It's something you want to see happen, but the fact that so many things have been thrown in their way and have been successful in impeding the hero's path, it very much makes you wonder. It very much keeps you at the edge of your seat as you want to see where things go, how they're able to overcome these odds, and how they're going to beat Shatra, considering how much of an advantage she now has over them. It's honestly really damn impressive, and I do appreciate that. Plus, there's the whole ace in the hole that Madam Web and Spidey UK mentioned that they don't mention by name, but it's supposed to be something that'll be able to give them at least a little bit of a leg up. So that at least still gives you some hope that there's at least something they can do to take on Shatra. So at the very least, I like that. But considering how this comic ends and considering how much shit the Spideys have to deal with when they're battle with Shatra, yeah, things are getting bad. Things are going to hell in a handbasket, and it's a nice way of keeping you invested and seeing how they're gonna finally win the day in the end. So, yeah, on the whole, damn good issue. Keeps the action going, stacks the deck suitably against the good guys while still keeping you invested. On the whole, definitely a good part, definitely a good continuation of the story. So, yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. I thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and hope to see you on Saturday as we look at issue 4 and see how the Spider Army adapts to these losses. So till then, I hope you have a good night and take care.